Hello and welcome to InnerMedia. I'm Josh Karam and with me is Ted Karam.
Hey guys.
So this is our podcast where we talk about spiritual messages in media forms such as film and television and possibly books as well. So today, something big's happening. Like theaters are closed down. We know that. Drive-ins are basically just showing Harry Potter over and over and over again. But there's good movies coming out though still. There's Tenet. Tenet is on its way. It's in our near future right now.
Okay.
And Tenet, for those of you who don't know, is a film written and directed by the great Christopher Nolan, who did things such as Prestige, the Dark Knight series, Memento. But the thing that we're most interested in today is Inception. Now, I'll never forget when I saw Inception, my mind was just...
It's just amazing.
It's brilliant. We saw it again recently just to get in this very Tenet mind frame, because Tenet is all about time running and reversing at the same time. This time inversion theory. And Inception, and the shots were very similar to Inception, which gives us a really good Matrix feeling.
Yes.
You know me, I always tell you, there's movies... There's good movies, and then there's Matrix movies. There's very few movies that have filled that category so far, really so I'm waiting to find some more. So let me start us off with a little Master, Wizard, and Jedi quote here. I think you could name where this one is from. Have you ever had a dream, Neo, that you were so sure was real? What if you were unable to wake from that dream, Neo? How would you know the difference between the dream world and the real world? Good old Matrix Morpheus there.
Well, how do you define reality? What is real, right?
Exactly, yeah. So, just in case anyone doesn't know, Inception, watch it if you haven't seen it. It's one of the greatest movies of all time. But in Inception, it is about this group of people.
Spoiler alert.
Thank you for that. From this moment
just let
on,
everyone know.
From this moment on, yes. Spoiler alert.
If you haven't seen it yet, don't listen to this if you want to really experience it.
But the plot of the movie is it's basically this group of people that can go into other people's dreams and are able to steal information from other people's subconscious. The twist in the film is that there's a character that Ken Watanabe plays who talks to Leonardo DiCaprio, who is the lead of this group of people that go into dreams, asking them to perform something called Inception, which is implanting an idea into somebody else.
Yep.
Now that's basically the plot of the entire film, but there's so much more to it.
Oh yeah.
There's so much more to it. So let's just start with the beginning here with this Matrix quote to tie it in. How would you know the difference between the dream world and the real world?
It's a really good question. Tough for me. I mean, it's a really good question. And how do we know, right?
I don't know. Yeah.
So do
you have a weighted die or a top somewhere around here?
Yeah. We have. Well, there's reality tests. If we'll get into, there's this whole concept of lucid dreaming where you can wake up. You practice different techniques to learn to wake up in your dream, and then you can begin to control the dream. And there are reality tests, just like that spinning top or whatever he had. You might try and see if you can fly. You look at a digital alarm clock, look away, look back. And if it's changed, then you are in a dream state and you're not in the normal conscious waking state. But anyway, it's phenomenal. So Inception was just, we had so many, oh my God, it was just like, I couldn't believe how many powerful reminders of the truth are in this film. And again, Josh, as you said, Inception, what does it really mean? The implanting of an idea. Where? In our subconscious mind. Why? Because once it's planted there, we believe it. It becomes a belief. Whether it's true or not, we believe it and we live into those beliefs because all of our actions, all of our behavior, all of our thoughts bubble up from our subconscious mind. And so once something takes hold there, is planted there, whether it's true or not, we live into it. So if you hyphenate the word beliefs are these ideas or these concepts that are formed or are recorded in our subconscious mind. And once it becomes a belief, if we hyphenate that word belief, be lie, a lot of times we're not being the truth, we're being a lie. And what's the lie? The lie is separation, lack of limitation. It's basically that we only believe ourselves to be a limited being, a physical form, but we're a much bigger, a much larger energetic being in a much larger field of existence. So Inception's just so cool because they really and they have it too. Whoever wrote this thing.
Oh, Christopher Nolan.
Yeah. He knows. He knows, and so do subliminal marketers and everyone else. They know the power of suggestion, just like a stage hypnotist knows. There's a huge power in suggestibility. But how do we get to a place to be suggestive? Well, first, what do? They take the sedation. What do they call it?
Yes, they sedate themselves to go under.
They sedate themselves. And what does that do? That brings you into an altered state of consciousness. It brings you into a theta brainwave state. What's important about that? That's where the doorway opens to the subconscious. So now you can reprogram the subconscious. You enter the computer operating system of your mind, and now you have access to form new programs, change old programs. And so the sedation was the first part, right?
Yes.
And then they talked about, I get all excited about this, but they talked about the next step, which is the subconscious doesn't really deal with the world of thoughts. It doesn't deal with analytics. It has no...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, for those, a reminder, Robert Fisher is this character who is the head of this company. His father is on his deathbed and he passed away, so he's going to become the head of this company. Ken Watanabe wants Leonardo DiCaprio and his crew to basically have him have this idea to dissolve this company. So the mission, the heist, the dream heist that they do, that's already cool enough as it is,
dream heist,
is to go into Robert Fisher's head and have him dissolve his company, just to catch people
right.
up on where we're at. Yeah.
Right. And the key to all of that is that he needs to think it's his own idea.
Yes, that's the big
thing. Because when it's your own idea, when you perceive something to be coming from you and your own idea, you believe it without questioning it. It becomes your reality, whether it's true or not. True. Right? Most of what we think isn't even true. You've heard the saying, maybe, don't believe everything your mind tells you, because a lot of that programming comes from when we were young, when we were children, 3 to 7 years old, when we were hanging out in theta brainwave, alpha brainwave states, and we were open, we were sponges. So our subconscious was open. Now, if I tell you, hey, I'm a purple elephant, right? Yeah. You go, yeah, you're not a purple elephant, right? But if you tell the subconscious, because what happens is you're in a state of consciousness, and the conscious mind has a critical, rational, analytical screening mechanism. In other words, it's logic. It's the world of logic. That's our conscious thinking mind.
Yeah.
But the subconscious has no such thing. So if you can access it, you can reprogram it. And so when we're children, a lot of times things happen in life, and we form these erroneous ideas. They're not true. Like our parents break up. There's a divorce, and our mother and father separate, and we think there's something wrong with us. We think we were the cause. We think we form silly concepts. It's a parental thing. It's not us as a child, but we'll form ideas like, I'm not worthy enough. I'm not good enough. I have no value. You know what I mean? Our worthiness gets all wrapped up in that. And we live with that the rest of our lives unless we know about it and change it. And so we've adopted a lot of programs into that operating system of the subconscious that are not true.
Yeah.
That hold us
definitely
back.
No, yeah. And also Ames, played by Tom Hardy, he brings up the great point with when you're trying to put an idea on somebody. It is true, emotionally you have to be connected to it.
That's right.
And Robert Fisher and his father had a horrible relationship in real life. The last words Robert Fisher says that his father said to him is disappointment. That's all that he can make out from what it is. Yeah. Right. So the interesting thing that you were talking about, and we'll talk about in this podcast, of course, is that can people do that?
Yeah, people do it all the time.
Can someone inflict on me an idea that I think I came up with?
It happens all the time. It's called subliminal marketing. Whenever you turn on the TV or you're watching something, an ad on the web, you've seen, what did we watch? Who's that? Magic for Humans.
Oh, Magic for Humans, James Wellham.
Oh, that's amazing. He's amazing, and that's so entertaining. Remember we saw that show where folks actually believed that they were coming up with their own ideas, and they'd all come up with the same idea because he would, without the conscious mind knowing, quickly show flashes of imagery and whatnot, and then all of a sudden they think that they're originating the concept, the idea, but really it's been planted there based on the imagery and the very strategic messages that were, words that were said, imagery that was flashed in front of your subconscious, and basically that we get programmed all the time. We are walking around programmed.
That's crazy. No, and I did say James before I meant Justin when he had the hand test. When it was just a rubber hand. And
right. Remember that?
People poke it and they believed it's real. You think that's just a dream thing? No, that's the real world.
That's the real world. That's magic.
Or is it the dream world? What are we living in right now?
Which one? Then we get back to the Matrix.
There's that great,
what is reality?
Exactly, and there's also that scene in Inception where they meet Yusuf, who's the guy who does the sedation stuff, where it's just a bunch of people in this basement that just dream for 40 hours.
Oh, that's right. They come there periodically to just dream, right?
Exactly, and the man said to the guy, this is their reality.
Right. In other words, the dream has become more real than this world.
Exactly. They don't come to dream. They come to wake up.
To wake up.
Yeah, so who are you to judge?
Right. And you know what? That's what we're doing when we tap into the deeper part of ourselves. When we get beyond the analytical, rational thinking mind that's always living in high beta brainwaves and always worried, always trying to control, manipulate, dominate. That's when we're just on the surface level of the ocean. Remember, we just see ourselves, the surface level of consciousness, where we only see ourselves as a wave. We miss the larger part of us, which is the ocean, and our connectedness with all things. So yeah, we have been programmed. We have, and we are, and so we form these beliefs a lot of times just on our own, because again, the subconscious mind is motivated by emotion, not reason. It has no analytical screening mechanism. So when a stage hypnotist performs these induction techniques to relax a person, to bring their brain waves down from beta down into alpha, then theta. Now they're kind of like, you see them they're sitting here like this, right? And their body's asleep, but their mind's still awake. They can hear what the hypnotist is saying. There's still a thread of consciousness there. And so then, you could take the most timid person in the world, and they could say, they could implant the suggestion. Once they get to the doorway's open in the theta, and now, so they're sedated, they're in the theta brainwave state, and they plant the suggestion. When you hear the word Michael or whatever, you're going to get up and do the moon, you're going to dance like Michael Jackson across the floor. Now, this person would never do that.
No, yeah.
They'd be too inhibited to do that. But they will. They'll do it on a dime. And that, when we can get, this is so important, because when we realize how programmed we are, how conditioned we are. We talk about who we know ourselves to be a bundle of reactive conditioning. That is the sum total of our life experience. And is it real? Will it become our reality? But is it absolutely real? No. It has no, because who we are is ultimately a character of fiction. It's giving a name and an identity to that wave. Not realizing, the wave is an expression of the ocean. The wave is constantly being renewed by the ocean. The wave is one with all of the other waves through that H2O, that common energy that binds us all as one.
It's perfect that you're talking about waves in this case, too, because in the movie Inception, it's dreams within dreams within dreams. They actually dive 4 levels deep into something called limbo. And when they're in limbo, they're in the waves, the literal and figurative waves of their subconscious when they wake up in that 4th stage. It's all there. So we're diving deeper. We dive deeper into this dream state. Would you call the dream states the different brainwaves you're going through, or is it you're always in theta when you're dreaming?
Well, it's a good question. Yeah, I mean, from this world, we consider to be waking state consciousness, right? But who knows? This world may be a dream in itself in many ways, right? I mean, it has its own reality for sure. Every layer of the dream has its own reality, but it's a relative reality. So we can awaken into deeper and more holistic and more true realizations of our own beingness. But at the very essence of it, in this world, we talk about, brainwave patterns, high beta, we're analytical, we're thinking, we're doing our jobs, we're learning, we're doing all the rational, logical thinking that we normally do. And that's predominantly where we live. Most of us don't go anywhere else. We stay there, and it can become exhausting. When we sleep at night, what happens naturally, You know, when your head hits the pillow, your mind may still be racing, but finally you fall asleep. And what happens is to your brainwave state, if you're on an EEG, you'd watch your brainwaves go from beta down into alpha, down into theta, and then eventually they'd slip into delta, you know, like 1 to 3 hertz. And basically, you'd be unconscious, and then you go through periods of rapid eye movement, REM sleep, and deep restorative, sleep. That's where we plug back into the hole. That's where our battery on the computer is deleted, and we plug it, with the wall wart back into the wall, and we recharge our batteries. We refresh ourselves. We get renewed every night, and it happens every night and every morning. That's why we talk about when we talk about practicing meditation, becoming still, we talk about the bookends of our day, right? So the bookends of your day is when you're waking up and when you're going to sleep. You pass. So when you're going to sleep, you go from beta through alpha, theta, down into delta. And so you pass that door. The doorway opens up right there in that twilight state when you're lying in bed and you're not fully asleep yet, but you're not awake anymore either. Your body's kind of gone. You're just kind of suspended in space. That happens at night, and it happens naturally in the morning when you come out of delta into theta. Before you start thinking about your life and all the things you need to do today, there's that kind of, oh, I'm here. Where am I? In that twilight state. So getting into that state is what they do with the sedation. But you don't need you don't need a drug. You don't need a chemical. You don't need a compound outside of yourself. You are capable of doing that naturally. You do it every day when you wake up and when you go to sleep. And if we practice learning to quiet our mind, becoming still, entering the present moment, then again, as we practice that more and more, it becomes easier and easier and becomes natural for us to actually live in the present moment where we can be connected in that place all the time.
And the film tells us as well, when you're dreaming, and we know this from science as well, your subconscious, more of your brain power is active. You're more of this is available to you. Right. All this going on here, and the further and further you go into these layers, they're saying the more your brain power is active, which means time moves faster for you because you could process things more.
Absolutely.
Now we're talking just to crush this. Now where we talk, I brought up the limbo state, which is this fourth level deep of dream stateness, and you're so far into your subconscious you can lose yourself. Is there ever a point where you could dive so far down into your subconscious, into such a state where you just lose yourself completely and can't come back? Or do you always just come back?
That's the ego talking. That's the fictitious mask that's really not real ultimately, because it's a wave. It has its relative nature, but it's very fleeting. It comes and it goes, and it's wondering, if I merge back into the whole of the ocean, if I merge back into the oneness of being, will I be lost forever? Will I disappear into the nothingness? You have to remember this: nothing is ever lost. Yeah. And going back into the wholeness and going deep into the void within you, it's not. It seems scary because it's the unknown. It's dark. It's empty. It's the void, right? I mean, but when you can get comfortable with it by by practicing being in it, by gently allowing it, by realizing it's not just darkness. There's a powerful light there, the light of beingness, the light of life itself. Love's pure light. It's a loving, embracing, joyous life force. The force that's there.
Use
that
the
we
force.
are. Use
exactly.
the force. The force is always with you, Luke. So when we can, allow ourselves to be still, allow ourselves to come into the present moment, allow ourselves to quiet down, and from a physiological or a psychological perspective, our brain waves slow down. We enter that theta brainwave. That's our super learning state. That's why children can learn 5-6 languages with no trouble and just absorb everything, because they're in a different state of consciousness. And we want to get back there. That's why it said you need to become like a child to enter the kingdom. What's the kingdom? The present moment, the magic of life. That's where life's really happening. And in order to wake up to that again, we literally have to change ourselves.
Yeah. We have to change, and there's things you could find when you're changing down there. A
Absolutely.
big thing in this movie is that Cillian Murphy, or Robert's character, when he goes down to the third level, he's the idea, the Inception plan into his head changes his entire perspective of his father, he became susceptible to believing that his father loved or he
him.
saw the good in his father. So we can go so far into there that we could see the good in anything.
See the good in everything. People. Yes, we change our past. He had conditioning in his mind that his father didn't love him, that it was always a negative experience and there was no relationship, and then all of a sudden love, all of a sudden understanding, all of a sudden unity. And that changes everything. It doesn't necessarily change the memories, but it changes what we project on top of the memories. The emotion is what matters most, because now all of a sudden it's totally different. Now you reframe everything that happened in terms of how you're vibrating now. And that's the real true power. And again, the mind is like an iceberg. You remember that it can be like an iceberg. So that just the very tip of the iceberg, it comes through the top of the ocean, right? Yeah. And that's the conscious mind, right? 5%. Neuroscience says that we use maybe 5% of our brain capacity. You were mentioning this before. But as we sink down into the subconscious, that which is below the surface level, that which is below what we even know is here, that it's invisible, the subconscious mind, where all our beliefs, our behaviors, our thoughts, bubble up from, that's like 95% of our being. But as we sink down into that depths of our being, we become aware of it. We begin to work with it. We begin to awaken abilities and faculties we never even knew we had, that were dormant. And so we start using a greater percentage of our mind. So that geniuses, Michelangelo, Da Vinci, Albert Einstein, however we express that genius, they use a greater, maybe they're using 10% of their capacity. But the opportunity is here for all of us, for anyone, to be able to tap into the programming that's running your life and change it. That's the magic.
Become
of it.
an architect, if you will.
Of your own life.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
You don't need who was the girl
Ellen
again?
Page, Ariadne,
she was great.
in the film. Yeah, the idea is that there's these people that are architects who can construct the worlds that the dreamer lives in, and their subconscious just fills in all the other
and the subconscious will fill in all the details. Yeah.
But it's a new level. You could build on a scale with this subconscious that's unlike anything else. That's why Ellen Page said she was never coming back, but she had to, because you're building at a new capacity. Right? How could you say no to that? If you could write a song with a dream state constantly, I mean, you would.
Yeah. Yeah. So once you get into that relaxed state, and this is what we do in meditation, or this is, in prayer, you get into that relaxed state where your brainwaves slow down. That's why the secret is, or the ancient wisdom is, be still. That's the first requirement. Be still and know. In order to know thyself, greater aspect of the real you, in order to bring forth your inner light, in order to shine as more of what you truly are, beyond who you know yourself to be, the first requirement is be still. Now, that looks like a waste of time to the conscious mind, right? I mean, like, be still. I got a lot to do. I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to achieve my ambitions, realize my dreams, fix all the problems. Being still to the conscious, rational mind is a waste of time. But there's a secret there. Being still has great power in it, because it opens the door to the subconscious programming. And now when you get into that relaxed state of being, with the doors open, now again, remember we talked about the subconscious doesn't respond to analytical thoughts. It deals mostly with emotions. So now you just want a very simple, like a child, like you'd give an imagery, or you'd share an idea or an intention with your 3-year-old self, with your 5-year-old self. I am loving. I am worthy. I am joy. These I am statements. And basically, you just, very simple, very clear vision, very clear intention, very clear idea, charged with powerful emotion. And so it elicits a powerful emotion, didn't it? Like it did so with that, with the son and his father.
Definitely.
And that's what then germinates into a full-blown conception in the conscious mind. And then there's this aha moment, and you have a realization as if that was your own.
Yes.
But it comes from the subconscious.
The relationship with the father, fixing that created I'm going to dissolve my company because he wanted him to become his own man. It's brilliant.
And it was brilliant because that's, and remember they said a positive affirmation is so much more powerful than a negative one. Why? Because the positive one is in alignment with the real you. It's alignment with the truth. With a negative one, the deep part of you knows it's not true. That's why we all know that we're so much more than what we perceive, that we're capable of so much more. No matter what we've done in life, we're capable of so. Why? Because we're infinite beings, and there's a part of us that never forgets.
It's funny because as much as you want to, when you have that situation where it's like, oh yeah, I was right and you were wrong, and you hold on to it, and you're like, oh, this doesn't feel good at all. Like that, it will always you're right. Yeah, exactly. The Inception is like a virus. So if it's a bad feeling, then
you get more of the bad.
You can't live with it.
Yeah.
You don't believe it to be true.
You know, deep part. That's why the most powerful things when we do meditations and whatnot, you guide, we get relaxed. We're open. Now we're receptive. We're in the receptive mode, and simple reminders of the truth. Yeah. Truth scripts, we call them,
truth
right?
Scripts,
so
exactly.
just reminding ourselves of the truth of our being. Abundance and prosperity flows naturally when I get out of the way. Relationships, health, well-being, creativity, genius, all of these things. This is the things that we want in our lives, want to express, want to become. They're there already. We don't need to create them. We just need to get the subconscious programming out of the way, which is a challenge because that subconscious programming is who we know ourselves to be. That's why it says you must die unto the past, die into the limitations of yourself so that you can be born again. You can be expanded into a larger expression of the real you.
So getting your subconscious out of the way, let's dive into something else in this movie. So Cobb was married to a woman named Mal, and both of them, they were kind of the ones that were very pioneering in figuring out how far into the dream you can go.
Oh, yeah. Everything. Yeah, they were great.
And they spent 50 years in limbo, and then Leo wanted to come back, so he implanted an Inception into her head, which kind of grew like a virus to a point where she didn't believe what was real anymore.
She couldn't she couldn't distinguish what was real and what
she couldn't live with it. She was like, I need to get back to what I believe is reality.
We're all stuck in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the big thing is that Leo's subconscious throughout the film manifests as her, and she is constantly haunting him throughout the entire film. She will come up and use everything that he knows against him whenever dream is in. She is not real. She died.
She's a symbol.
But she's a symbol.
Yeah.
And Leo tries to trap her within his self-conscious. Right. He tries to find a prison for her. But that never really works, I don't think.
No, you can't suppress the subconscious. It bubbles up. It's beyond our control. We're not even aware of it.
Exactly. So in the end, Leo, of course, admits his guilt with it. But I guess in the end, well, no, I'm just thinking about the movie. I'm getting really excited about this. You can't just build a prison for something in your subconscious.
You can't just stuff it away. We try to. And that's what we do a lot of times with addictive behavior, All of a sudden, feelings come up. We don't like them. We're feeling unworthy. We're feeling not valuable. We're feeling not enoughness. We're not okay. Just being who we are. There's something wrong with us. All these these thoughts bubble up, and we have these feelings, these emotions. We don't even know where they come from. Where they coming from? Our childhood programming, for the most part, that we don't even know. We picked up and we formed these subconscious beliefs, and they've been running our lives and dictating who we know ourselves to be. Remember, that's who we think we are.
Yeah.
And it's just a construct. It's a bundle of reactive conditioning, a bundle of programs that kick up and run. And so those limitations are there all along. And a lot of times we just want to, when we feel them, some things trigger them. We'll see a certain person or a certain situation happens, and it triggers that feeling.
Like in the movie, too. Just when Ellen Page created the bridge where him and his wife had a reunion, that brought her back.
That brought her back. And so when that happens, when the outer world that you're seeing in some way triggers or stimulates, kicks up that program begins to run in the subconscious, that all of a sudden now you blame that person or that circumstance or that situation for the way you feel. But the way you feel is because of the program that's running inside of you. And so what we try and do is we'll do anything to get away from that feeling. We'll talk a lot. We'll call someone on the phone. We'll drink. We'll eat. We'll take drugs. We'll just be obsessive with something, shopping, gaming, whatever we do. Our vices. Some are healthier than others. If you maybe exercise is one that you get into, and that's good. But still, if it masks that, then you're not free from that. In other words, if you're still getting away from the emotion. So the key is being able to sit with it, being able to develop presence around it, so that you don't react to it and all these emotions start taking you over and you start reacting like a puppet on a string. But they're able to sit in that fire, able to sit with that emotion, knowing it's just an emotion and it's coming up so that it can go out. So if you don't push or pull on it, if you don't activate, if you don't make it real, you just allow it to purge from your body, your subconscious, your being, then it can be gone forever. But a lot of times we try to suppress these subconscious feelings and deep-seated thoughts about our own inadequacy, our own unworthiness. Every human being has this. Why? Because we are a character of fiction. Every day we try and redefine ourselves. We try and revalidate ourselves as separate beings. See how I solved that? I'm right, you're wrong. The whole I'm right, you're wrong, as opposed to choosing to be kind as opposed to being right. Because kindness unifies, being right separates.
Yeah.
You know, all these little things we talk about, not complaining about things, not having any, inward or outward complaints, but accepting what is as it is and not projecting upon it our own limited ideas. That's what we do all the time. We project our limited ideas. So freedom comes, we don't have to suppress the subconscious if we can just soften and open and just be with it. We don't even have to fix it. We just want to purge it, like bleeding the air out of the brakes in a car, in our brake system. If we just offer it no resistance, if we don't push or pull on it, if we don't feed it or push it away, we just allow it to be. We witness it. We watch it. You watch your feelings. You watch your emotions, and then they go. And now, without feeding that program, you come back into the peace of the present moment.
Peace of the present moment?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're connected with the positivity, the unity of being. And all of a sudden, you're just feeling better. Nothing's changed in your world. There's no reason why you should be feeling better, feeling happier, feeling more joyful, feeling more loving. But you've changed. And so everything's changed because the world is like a mirror. It reflects back to us the energy we send out.
Definitely. So a couple other points from the movie that I think are interesting. Robert Fisher's character, when they go in, and well, of course, since Cobb, Leo's character, has so much baggage that he carries with him, a train literally goes through his dream,
is that cool?
Which you can't even
contain. It's
contain.
totally destructive. Yeah,
exactly.
It's just like energy, just self-sabotaging everything.
Immediately, Robert Fisher's subconscious comes at them because they realize these are dreamers. This isn't part of his subconscious, but they're militarized. Like, he has trained his subconscious to such a point that it fights back.
Yes.
Like an army.
Yes. And that's what folks, that's what we do with our armed forces. We break down the conditioning of the individual and we program. It's important for someone in the Army or the Navy or a Marine to under life-threatening situations. When fear goes up, intelligence plummets. Why? Because there's nobody home thinking anymore. A program's taken over and it's just automatic. So we actually program, when our military go through the training, they have to literally die into who they thought they were. They break down themselves and they rebuild themselves with automatic conditioning. Yeah. So that when they're under fire, when they're under that immense, fight or flight mechanism is activated and they're in fear, they act accordingly. They act in a very specific way. In other words, they don't react the reaction is conditioned, and that allows them to perform under very, very difficult situations. But we've talked with Marines, we've talked with some people in our family, and folks in the military who've retired many years, and some of them have shared, they have nightmares, they have dreams, they can't even believe what they did. They just, they got on the Jeep, they did what they had to do, and they did. But now it's still in the subconscious, and they used to think post-traumatic stress syndrome, they're just wimps, so they just don't, they don't get. But even the strongest people, even the strongest folks, they when they open up, that stuff can bubble up, and then they have trouble sleeping, they have trouble dealing with it, and it's all about letting go. It's all about releasing, forgiving, just purging any negative emotion that's within you. Now, all of us have that too, whether we went through extreme situations in real life, like someone in our armed forces, or or we just imagined we did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So every day we deal with, we react in the fight or flight mechanism gets kicked in, but we're not dealing with a real threat to our lives. There's not a lion chasing us or someone trying to shoot us. But it feels like that when our boss yells at us, or when we see something happening in the world and we're afraid of, with the whole pandemic that's unfolding. It becomes a life-threatening situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dream versus reality. It could all seep into one, and especially in Leonardo DiCaprio's case, he can't discern the two from each other.
Oh, he was great with that.
Let's talk about the end of the movie then, just to get that the big whole question. This is a dream. This is reality. What is what? In the end of the movie, he finally is able to go home and see his children, because Ken Watanabe's character is able to clear him of all the supposed crime against his wife that he committed. And he finally sees his children's faces. He spins the top, but when he sees his kids' faces, he is certain that this is reality to him. However, the top, you're not sure. I mean, that's the thought of the film.
It's beautiful the way they do that.
It starts spinning, and then it starts fumbling, and then the movie ends. But
they let you decide for yourself.
You decide for yourself, which is,
it's beautiful.
I could go on and on.
Because that's what
how
we
much
do.
I love it. Yeah.
In life, yeah.
Exactly. Christopher Nolan is brilliant in every way, shape, and form. From Dark Knight to this to Dunkirk, I love personally as well. Like, it's all brilliant. So, dream versus reality. How does Leo know? Does it matter either?
Does it
matter on top of that?
We live into our subconscious beliefs. We live into our dream. So, the question, the ancient question, age-old question is perception reality?
Yeah.
Because our perceptions are uniquely our own, and they have to do with the subconscious programs, the ideas and the inceptions that are planted there and sown there and grown there into an identity even. So is our perception reality? In this world, our perception becomes reality. And the greatest, again, this is just the experience of the phenomenal world is a slice of a much larger reality. But is there a reality beyond perception? That's a question we each have to answer for ourselves. When you can read people's other experience, people have experience of it. I've had experiences of it. When you start having experiences of yourself beyond your form, beyond your body, and pure consciousness, pure awareness, pure energy, and you start experiencing, you have experiences that just don't make logical sense to the rational mind. In terms of experiences of unity, you're one with nature, one with the landscape, one with all that is. Then, you would say there's a reality beyond perception. And but every single person comes to that realization in themselves or not. It makes that decision on their own.
Okay.
The real impact of this movie, though, Inception, is to realize that we're so programmed, we're so conditioned that life can become so much better for us. We normally think that you need to change, you need to start acting differently, I need more money, I need this, I need that. All these things in our world need to change for us to be living our ideal lives, for us to be feeling better, for us to be enjoying life. And the sad truth is, obviously, yes, some of that is important, but we don't realize that we have the power to make that change. Like Gandhi said, we have the power to be the change.
Yeah.
Because when we tap into that energetic part of our being, that's what's broadcast, a new vibration. And life is like a mirror, and it comes back to us. As we sow, so shall we reap. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. It's just a law. It's just a principle that we're not aware of. So Inception, what's so good about this is to understand there is a part of our mind, there is a part of us that has just been programmed by who knows.
Yeah, who knows
we just took on impressions when we were younger or throughout our lives when we were open, when our subconscious was open. And a lot of that programming is not true. And we live every day in that separation, lack, and limitation, believing it's reality. And as a result, we suffer. We hold ourselves back. We feel so limited. We feel there's only so much we can do. We don't know our true selves. We're not in touch with and one with and expressing the deeper part of what we truly are.
That's great. What a great movie. No, that's really just what it is. We're all our architects. We're all our Ellen Pages. Aims. We can become whoever we need to be. We can just
rewrite the script.
Yes, right. That's it.
And you know what? Athletes do this all the time with mental rehearsal, right?
Yeah.
Olympiads. What do? They sit there. They put on their music. They go in a state. What does that mean? They access the subconscious portion of their mind. They get into those alpha theta brainwaves. And what do? They rehearse their event. They hear the gun go off, and they're running, or they're swimming, or they're whatever they're doing, however they're performing. However you're performing on the stage of life, you could be seeing that in your mind and running through it and feeling it. What does that do? It lays the neural networks down in your brain. It literally reprograms you on a subconscious, because as you're experiencing it fully in your mind and in your emotions, without your senses, remember these senses just translate energy. You can do that right within your being, right within your imagination, without using your senses. And so when they run their event in their mind, and they do it over and over again, now they've already been there. Now they've already experienced it. And the neural networks are formed in their brain as if they have already experienced it. Because our bodies don't know the difference between whether it's happening inside or whether it's coming from, whether we're interpreting it from a translation of the vibration from outside.
It's all in the mind. I mean, Mal even says in the movie when she shoots Arthur, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, that pain is all in the mind. So
everything's
it's still real
in the
to
mind.
Even the gravity shifts.
Yeah.
In the dream.
That was cool.
Exactly. That is all
in the mind.
Exactly, because that is in a dream within a dream. So that is all in their mind, how they are moving in such a way.
And, ultimately a lot of philosophers would say it's all mind. There's only mind. And there's remember we talked about the light bulb of being? The movie projector analogy of life, the light, the pure beingness of what we are is like a light bulb. And in a movie projector, the light bulb shines through the film of mind, and it's reflected off the mirror of the world, the void, right? And we experience this three-dimensional movie that as if it was absolutely real. And yet, when we change what's on the film of mind, we change what we project and what we perceive and what we experience in the phenomenal world of life.
That's amazing. That's amazing. This movie, and I will tell you right now that Tenet is getting me really excited, and this Inception conversation is only just a gateway into a Matrix conversation. We will have in a later podcast, because it deserves
so
its
much
own
like
thing.
the Matrix.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I mean, the Matrix was phenomenal, and so Inception is as well. But they touch on a lot of similar ideas. What is reality?
What is reality? That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
How far down the rabbit hole are we going to go with the Matrix? Yeah. Do you have any closing remarks about Inception? I think we got a lot of great stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean, just watch. If you haven't seen it and you're into these ideas of your thoughts shape your reality, your emotional state is really something you have control over, and you want to learn more, watch the movie. It's just it really is eye-opening. And I remember pausing and rewinding it several times. Like, wait, what did they say just there? Because there's so many deep truths there about the operation of the subconscious mind.
Also, this isn't our first time we're talking about. This is like our third time watching the movie. If you've seen it before, I mean, I'd say just watch it again because you just get so much. This is one of those movies that only grows with the amount of times you see.
And Leonardo DiCaprio, he's great in there. So are all of the actors. And
Tom Hardy's one of my personal favorites of all time.
It's just and so again, you know, when things happen in life and we get those aha moments, we get stimulated, we go, wow, that was just great. We don't even know why it was great, ultimately, because it awoke something within us. It stirred something, some truth in us. The real you came forth a bit. It tugged on one of those real, true resonant strings. Applying this in your life, if you're interested at all in really delving into how do you change your own programming, how do you plant seeds of greatness in you, actually how do you just remove the brush and all the automatic reactivity that's in the way and see the greatness in you because it's already there. How do you prune neural synapses? How do you eliminate self-sabotaging subconscious programming? You know, you might look into some of the meditation programs that we offer and or that are on the web. Just, you know, do a search. You might tap into and look at lucid dreaming. How that's a whole, we did that years ago. How to we engage in different programs. How to practice certain practices during your waking state, and then they carry on into the sleep state at night, and you're continuing to do those practices where you do reality tests and you start waking up in your dreams. You start flying, and when you start waking up in your dreams at night, you may find that you start awakening in this dream as well of your daytime, you know, normal waking state consciousness. So you can look into lucid dreaming, meditation, subconscious reprogramming. It's just the movie did a phenomenal job because, you know, we don't want to hear it. We don't want to be taught it. But the way they just did it was just magnificent. Really well done.
We all want to be entertained.
We want to be entertained.
Yeah.
That's what we're here in life.
That's what we do here at InnerMedia. We're here to talk about those entertainment things that give us those spiritual truths. We release podcasts every Monday and Thursday, so make sure that you keep tuning into those. InnerMedia, we're going to be talking about The Matrix. There's no doubt about that at all.
That'll be a fun.
We're gonna keep talking about movies that make us feel good like this. We also talk about Avatar a lot on this podcast because that's really big to us. So Thursdays, make sure you tune into InnerMedia. Thank you guys for tuning into this podcast. Great Inception conversation. Great film. If you haven't seen it, please go out and watch it and do yourself a favor. Thank you for tuning in, and you could catch us on therealyou.net, learn more about us there, or just keep on tuning into InnerMedia and The Real You podcast. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.